Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, Attorney E Immigration Lawyer. Today's episode po, pag-usapan natin Understanding Hate Crimes. Ito pong topic na to, pinili po natin ito because of the recent events that took place here in the United States involving attacks on Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Pag-uusapan po natin yung mga pangyayaring ito. So we're gonna talk about tong recent cases. We're gonna talk about kung ano ang hate crime, yung legal definition ng hate crime, yung rising incidence of AAPI hate crimes, Asian Americans and Pacific Islander hate crimes. And of course, what can we do as a community and as an individual? Before we start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Attorney Elaine Antonio Bordeaux. I'm a U.S. immigration lawyer. I'm based here in the United States. And sa program po natin in YouTube, we talk about not only immigration law, pero nag-expand na tayo talking about other issues na importante po sa ating mga Filipino and Filipino Americans here in the U.S. and of course in the Philippines. Okay. Itong mga recent events, hindi po tayo pwedeng manahimik dito. Ang kailangan natin, maintindihan natin kung ano ba yung nangyayari, kung ano ba itong mga hate crimes na to, and of course, kung ano ba ang magagawa natin as a community and as an individual. Okay? Itong recent events that took place, recent events of violence, yung Atlanta shooting, killing 8 people, 6 were Asian women. Ito po yung suspect ay nagpunta sa mga massage spas and killed 8 people. Recently also, ito naman sa Boulder, this is very close to home kasi I live here in Boulder. 10 people were killed sa isang shooting naman dito sa King Soopers. Attack on Filipino woman in her 80s in San Diego trolley. Attack on Filipino man in the subway. Ito po yung na-slash yung face niya sa New York. Attack on 65-year-old Filipino immigrant in New York. Ito po yung nag-viral na merong store na may mga bystanders na instead of helping the victim, ang ginawa nila, pinagsaraduhan pa nila ng store nila. Thai man attacked on January 28, 2021 in Oakland, California after his regular walk, and Chinese woman attacked outside of New York City bakery. So mga recent events of violence na nangyari. We have to understand na hindi lahat ng violence ay hate crimes. Okay? Ang violence kasi multidimensional siya. So may mga violence na iba't iba ang sitwasyon. Merong because of mental illness. Merong mga, pero meron naman talaga mga violence na dahil sa hate or yung mga hate-related violence or tinatawag nating hate crime. Ang pag-usapan natin today ay kung ano ba ang hate crimes and what can we do about it. So, ang legal definition ng hate crime. Hate, the term hate can be misleading. When used in a hate crime law, the word hate does not mean rage, anger, or general dislike. In this context, hate means bias against people or groups with specific characteristics that are defined by the law. So, ang pinag-uusapan po nating hate, hindi yung rage, anger, or yung general dislike. Pero ito yung bias against people or groups with specific characteristics. So, yung sinasabing bias against Chinese people. Yeah. Bias against Latinos. Bias against white people. O kaya yung mga bias against gay communities. At the federal level, the hate crime laws include crimes committed on the basis of victims' perceived or actual race, color, religion, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity or disability. Hate crime laws. Most state hate crime laws include crimes committed on the basis of race, color, and religion. Many also include crimes committed on the basis of sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, and disability. Crime in hate crime is often a violent crime such as assault, murder, arson, vandalism, or threats to commit such crimes. It may also cover conspiring or asking another person to commit such crimes, even if the crime was never carried out. So meron pong federal hate crime law and then meron ding mga state hate crime laws. Pangkaraniwan, ang basis nito ay ang crime was committed on the basis ng race, ng kanyang kulay, religion. It may also include yung mga sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, and disability. Usually po, associated siya sa violent crimes, pero po pwede rin ang threat to commit such crime makonsider na hate crime. And also, conspiracy or asking another person to commit such crime, kahit hindi na carry out yung hate crime. Ayon po sa statistics naman na nirelease ng AAPI, I think this is Forum AAPI. Ito po ay Asian American Pacific Island Hate or AAPI hate statistics. 3,800 incidents were reported over the course of roughly a year during the pandemic. So from March 19, 2020 to February 28, 2021, 3,800 incidents. And then for the last 5 months, it's a significantly higher number than last year's count of about 2,600. So in 2021 alone, 503 incidents. So from January po until, I think this was until March. And then women made up a far higher share of the reports. 68% ang women, and then 29% naman ang men. So napakataas, lalo na ngayon 2021, 503 incidents just this year. And then nagkaroon siya ng matinding increase from last year. Reported incidents of 3,800 from March to February. At mas maraming kababaihan ang biktima ng Asian American Pacific Islander hate or AAPI hate versus po sa mga kalalakihan. Okay, so itong mga pangyayaring ito, very alarming to, very disturbing. Actually, hindi natin ito po pwedeng basta nilang i-ignore as an individual and as a community. Lalo na mga tina-target, di ba, elders. Ito kasing mga haters, ng mga bullies na to. Ang tina-target nila yung vulnerable, yung elders, yung mga kababaihan, mga kabataan. Being silent is the last thing that we want to do here in this situation. So what can we do as a community? We cannot shut up or be silenced. We have to speak out against hate crime. We have to speak out against violence. And we have to get involved. Alam niyo, ang isang hate crime or isang mga hate, yung mga hate slurs or racial slurs or yung act of violence na isang beses, pag pinalampas mo, pangalawang beses, pangatlo, pang-apat, hanggang andyan na, matindi na palang sitwasyon. Diba? Yung act of violence na yan, we experienced that even in the Philippines, and na isa lang, and then okay lang. And then pangalawang namatay, okay lang. Pangatlong namatay. So no, we have to speak out against violence. We have to speak out against hate. We cannot be shut up. As an individual, and as a community. So what can we do as a community? We have to identify potential community partners. Okay, this means we have to strengthen our community. We have to get involved. Sino ba yung mga po pwede nating maging partners? Andiyan ang law enforcement. Andiyan ang maraming nonprofit organizations that are helping, especially yung mga minorities. Marami rin pong school organizations that are involved. So nonprofit organization, churches, religious organizations, law enforcement is a partner. And schools, pati ang iba't ibang communities po. So we have to identify our potential partner. Hindi lang tong problema ng isang community. Lagi kong sinasabi na we can all be a victim of hate. Hindi lang tayong mga Pilipino or tayong mga Asians, pwedeng mga puti, pwedeng mga itim, mga Muslim, mga Christians, pwedeng maging victim ng hate ang mga nasa gay community. Kaya instead of isolating ourselves and labeling ourselves as Filipinos only, or as Black people only, we have to engage other communities, and we have to reach out to other communities. Next po, educate our community and understand what's going on. So, parang wala na tayong pakialam. Wag naman po. So, alamin natin kasi understanding hate crimes, importante po eh. Di ba pag may problema, pag naiintindihan mo yung problema, or pag may fear, pag naiintindihan mo yung fear, fear runs away. Kaya ako, I've represented so many victims of human trafficking. That's the number one thing. They have to understand the situation. Once they understand the situation and they know that they can do something about it, they're empowered. Pareho rin po yan sa ating community. We have to educate our community. Once our community understands what's going on, at malaman natin kung ano ang sitwasyon, kung anong problema, then we can do something about it because we're empowered. Ang pag-address naman sa hate crime ay hindi rin hate eh. So we cannot address, hindi natin ito masasolve na isa pang act of violence. Walang puwang sa civil society ang acts of violence. So hindi yun ang solusyon natin. Education, helping each other, understanding the problem, and developing a cooperative plan with other communities and other community partners. Susunod po, develop a relationship with law enforcement agencies. Okay, so yung mga organization po natin, meron tayong mga Filipino-American associations. Marami pong mga iba't ibang associations in our community. We can reach out to law enforcement and we can start, kung wala pang relationship with law enforcement, reach out to them and introduce our organization, our community, develop a relationship with them. Kasi po, pag maayos ang relationship natin with law enforcement, hindi tayo mangingimi na to ask help from them, to report, and madali pong makipag-communicate with them. So, hindi lang yung kung kailan may problema, dun lang natin sila tatawagan. So, law enforcement agency is definitely a partner to this problem. Strengthen our community and support other communities. Ito po yung I was talking about this earlier, na we have to stop labeling ourselves na pang Filipino lang or Filipino Americans only. Yes, meron po tayong national identity. Pero we have to start reaching out to other communities too. Marami pong mga iba't ibang communities na meron tayo dito sa US. Yung mga members po ng ating community, we can set up meetings with them. We can set up joint projects with them. We can reach out to them and support each other. Kasi itong problemang to ay hindi lang po problema ng mga Asian Americans. Sabi ko nga, we can all be a victim of hate. And of course, report to law enforcement cases of hate crimes. So we have defined hate crimes, kahit yung threat lang ay hate crime na rin siya. Yung bullying, kung basis nito yung race, color, religion, sexual orientation, disability, ay makukonsider din siyang hate crime. We have to report this. And ito pong hate crime ay hinahandle ito in a different way, because we cannot let hate take over our communities. Napaka-dangerous po ng pwedeng mangyari kung we allow hate to take over our communities. So what to do if you have been a victim of hate crime? You can go to this website po, justice.gov, Get Help Now. May mga information po dyan. Of course, number 1 sa US, itong ginagawa po natin, di ba kapag may emergency, kapag your life is in danger, call 911. Yun po ang unang-una. And kung kayo ay naging victim ng hate crime, submit a report online or call the FBI. Para naman dun sa mga immigrants na walang documentation or undocumented, do not be afraid. Actually, merong mga grupo talaga na ang tinatarget nila itong mga piniperceive nila na undocumented, because ito hindi po nagre-report. But do not be afraid if you have no lawful status, kasi there's an immigration relief for victims of hate crimes. And as I always say, meron tayong external responsibility, and then meron din tayong internal responsibility. Huwag tayong maging part ng hate. Kasi internally, as an individual, pag ina-isolate natin yung sarili natin, and we only talk to Filipinos or yung mga kababayan po natin, hindi natin in-open yung sarili natin sa mga ibang lahi, ay hindi rin nila tayo naiintindihan. So we have to reach out to them also. We have to listen to their stories also. Tayo pong mga Filipinos dito sa US, hindi lang naman po lahat successful. Maraming successful, marami rin pong talagang may hardship. And I think by reaching out to them and yung pinapakita talaga natin and we listen to them also, nagde-develop tayo ng friendship with them, nakikita din nila na hindi lang lahat ng Asians ay ganito, ganyan. Tayo rin, nakikita rin natin na hindi naman sila lahat pala ganon, ganyan. So we have to change the way we think also. Kasi we're all connected. We're all one. And the moment na sineparate natin yung sarili natin, sinabi natin na, oh, we're not part of that because of this and this and this, ay nagko-contribute na po tayo dito sa problemang ito. Okay? Yan po ang ating presentation for today. It's important that you share this with your friends and that you go over this and understand this, and then know what you can do as an individual and as a community. We are empowered. We can do something about it, and being silent is the last thing that we want to do in the situation. Be safe po, and of course, practice common sense, and until next time po. Maraming salamat. This is Attorney E.